In 2007, an offensive lineman from Ohio named Elliot Mueller committed to play at Michigan. That Christmas Eve, as his family was returning from a gathering, a 90-year-old driver ran a stop sign and plowed into their car, killing Elliot's girlfriend and his father. His brother Brock survived, but broke 2 vertebrae and was told he had a 1% chance of ever walking again. Undaunted, Brock began working with the strength staff at Michigan. And 14 years ago today, he walked onto the Michigan Stadium field ahead of the Wolverines as they opened the season against UConn. Brock Mueller continues to inspire and spoke to the Michigan team late last month.
Just eternally grateful to the university for allowing me to have that chance. How many of you haven't ran out and touched the banner yet? My brother told me that there's no way to really tell you about it until you've done it. And I never in a million years thought I'd ever do that. And I had that chance, and I got to tell you, a lot of it was adrenaline. It was like the easiest thing in the world to do once I had done it. But looking back, I realized it was because I'd never given my all to something like I did that day.
Thrilled to have Brock Mueller with us now. And Brock, tell me about that moment addressing the Michigan team. You're a motivational speaker. This is a huge part of what you do for a living. But how was it different speaking to that particular group?
It's good to be here, Dave. It was really an awesome moment to get back to Schembechler Hall, and somewhere I spent so much time, and it has changed so much over the years. But to speak to the team, I actually was a lot more emotional than I expected, but it came unexpectedly. I came to visit, and they asked me to come to speak to the team, and of course I was honored to do that. What was really special to me is remembering all those memories that I spent in the gym working out, preparing for a big day with the Michigan Wolverines on the field, and to be able to share with them what the University of Michigan had done for me back then and what they continue to do for me now is really a powerful thing, and something I hope I can pass on to them being at the university, and hopefully share that positive message with everyone.
It's amazing to have you on. It's particularly amazing to have you on this day, just because it is the anniversary, as I said, 14 days since you led the team onto the field against UConn. What stands out when you think about that day?
I actually remember that when I woke up this morning, because my father, who passed away in the accident, his birthday was yesterday, and today is 14 years since I walked out onto that field. And it's such a powerful moment, and I kind of in my mind always envisioned that once I did all this hard work, once I got onto the field, that I would have kind of been on the top of my mountain. But that's something that my strength coach, Mike Barwis, always tried to put in my mind, is that this was actually the beginning for me. This was a new beginning and a new moment for me and my family to move on from a tragedy. And I still look back on that moment, and it really even inspires me. And it was awesome to share it with 113,000 fans that day in the stadium, and also show it with so many Big Ten Network viewers.
You mentioned Mike Barwis, and so I do want to back up a little bit for people who don't remember the story. So Mike Barwis was the head of the strength and conditioning program at that time at the University of Michigan. As we outlined, your brother Elliot was playing for the Michigan football team, so that's the connection here. But how does a strength coach get involved in your rehab?
He really, from the beginning, said it was a calling for him. It was something that was constantly brought up in his mind. He'd wake up in the middle of the night and say, "You have to help this person," and he felt like it was a calling from God. And it was actually really an awesome thing, because he was one of the few people that was asking me a favor. I felt like at that time so many people wanted to help, so many people wanted to do favors for me. And Mike said, "Would you do me a favor and allow me to be a part of your journey, allow the team to be a part of something that he believed would be a miracle and something that would be awesome and powerful?" And he saw a vision that at most times I couldn't see clearly. And I asked him, "How do you get started with something like that?" And he said, "All I had to do was commit. I couldn't give up." And he said, I would want to give up. And I said, "I won't. I'm not a quitter." My dad always taught us not to be quitters. And there were many times I wanted to quit doing these workouts. Doing these intense workouts that my brother Elliot warned me about, that said he's not going to take it easy on you. And I finally made that commitment and said, that's what I want. I want to give it my all and not have any doubt in my mind of of what could have been.
Brock, how did this work? I mean, how does someone who is paralyzed learn to walk again?
He had told me from the beginning that it wasn't going to be anything special about him or me, but that we would let the miracle happen by doing something that no one has really done and tried. And that really is how it worked, because so many days that I felt like I had failed. I mean, I fell down more times than I can count. We just kept pushing. We just kept trying things, and some things worked, some things didn't. And I've always tried to tell people that too, that it certainly wasn't this scenario where if I'm in a wheelchair, I'm not trying hard enough. That wasn't the case. I think this was just a special alignment that I had this opportunity with this really creative, really smart strength coach that took the time to get involved in my life and use his talents to help me reach my potential, which the potential was huge compared to the 1% I had been given initially to ever feel my legs or move my legs again. And that's something that I do. I think, this was my special story, and it's something that I love, that hopefully most people aren't going through something like that, but they can certainly relate. And I've had so many people I've met over the years that have been injured, and they go on to do the things they want to do. They find a way to do whatever it is they want to do. In my case, walking again was part of my story. And again, that was the beginning.
My recollection of Mike from his time in Ann Arbor is that he is very intense. Most strength coaches are, but Mike particularly stood out in that way. How did he coach you?
He never made me feel like a failure. No matter how many times I failed, no matter how many times I couldn't do what he asked me to do, he never made me feel like a failure. He just continued to give me new challenges and push me. And I think in the same way it started, him asking me a favor, he continued to ask things of me that I didn't know if I could do, but I wanted to, because I wanted to fight for him, because I knew from the very first day I met him, he asked me, when do I want to come work out? When do I want to walk? And the physical therapist even told him that that's not going to happen for him. You shouldn't say those things, but he never was deterred, and I didn't want to feel discouraged in any way. And one of the big ways he coached me was at that gym. And it's changed a lot, as I said, in Schembeckler Hall, but the weight room, I actually parked my wheelchair outside the room, and I had to crawl from station to station to do workouts. But again, it was a mindset that many times I didn't want to believe it was in my head, which in some ways it is, some ways it isn't. But the challenge was really in my head, and that was one of the ways I think it was really smart, because I completely forgot about the chair in those 5, 6 or more hours that I was in the weight room. When I would leave, I'd remember, like, I need to use this to get around again. And I think that mindset, that really pushed me. But again, it was really him pushing me beyond my limits again and again that got me where I am.
You wrote a book. It came out last month. It's called Beyond 1%. It's actually over your right shoulder. Good product placement.
Yes.
On your part. I respect that greatly as a fellow author. Why was it important to you to share your story in that way?
It really is such a powerful story. And there was no moment greater than when I walked onto that field that I realized how little I had to do with it, even though I'd put in so much work and effort towards this goal of walking. As I said, it was so much more than that. And that's why I called it Beyond 1%, because it was beyond the odds that I was given initially. And to write the book, I've had so many people ask me about the book, but the real motivation for writing it was that I've been able to have all these opportunities to speak to schools, to churches and other organizations, businesses. And then I'm able, usually through social media, to hear feedback on what that's meant to someone. And the book was a new way to share that story again and share that positivity and hopefully make those same impacts in a different way, because I talk about that in the book as well. That's really what motivates me now is seeing all the people it's been able to positively impact, to get through challenges, to set bigger goals, and hopefully reach more people. And that's something I think is irreplaceable. And Mike always told me I never owed him anything, even though I felt a great debt for everything he had done for me, including everything the university has done for me. And this is my way to pay it forward, is to hopefully spread the talents that I've been given and the stories I've been given, the lessons with as many people as I can, to help them get through life and hopefully reach their fullest potential.
sharing your story is such a huge part of what you've done, clearly, both with the book and the motivational speaking. Catch us up on the rest of your life. I mean, I think for a lot of Big Ten fans, we saw that moment in 2010. It inspired us greatly. And then, we didn't hear a lot from you. Give us a sense of what you've been doing and what your life has been about.
I continued to work out with Mike for another 6 years after that. And I always told him I'm staying way longer than a student athlete training. And
not in this day and age, right? Now student athletes are there as long as they want to be there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I probably more than anyone, Larry Foote, the legendary linebacker, I would tease him because I said, "Where have you been?" He's like, "Playing for the Steelers," And I'm like, "Well, I've been in the weight room working out this whole time you've been gone." And those guys all motivated me long after. And so it's, again, something that was the beginning of a story. But I've gone back. I'm in Ohio actually now, which I mentioned that to the team. But I said in 2019, just before COVID, I went back and got my MBA at Michigan at the Ross School of Business, which was awesome. Met some awesome people there. And after getting my MBA, I've also continued to help out with the First Step Foundation, which Mike has started with me to hopefully give other people the same opportunity I had to work with the best coaches and machines and equipment that you can get. And we've had just tremendous success with that program. In 2018, I actually walked a mile without canes or any assistance to raise money for that. And it was something I had never even come close to doing until that day. And luckily, one of Mike's employees, Dr. Nick, that he walked with me. And I remember the first step, I fell down and he thought this could be a really long day. But I walked a half mile after that. I probably fell another dozen times or 24 times the second half mile. But that's something that's near and dear to my heart. And I've come back to Ohio to work in the family business in concrete. And that's been a big part of my life. And the last 6 months, I've been working on my book, and that's been just awesome. And I've been very proud of. I've written it it's been 10 years of writing,
wow.
But 6 months of finally publishing and putting it together. So it's been a great journey, and just so many. That's what I love sharing in the book, and that's what I love sharing in speeches. Is not just those hard times and challenges that I've faced, but the incredible moments that I would have missed out on had I not just, again, given my all towards what I wanted to do with my life without regard for everyone else's opinions, I guess, on what should be expected of me.
Well, Brock, it's an amazing story. Congratulations on all of your successes, including the book being published. I know that's a huge thing, and all the people that you continue to inspire. Really appreciate your time here today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, and for all the support the Big Ten Network's given me. It's a big family and something I'll always cherish. So thanks, Dave.